She didn't bark, she didn't scream. She just stood there. My daughter, Lily, frozen on the front lawn in her little wheelchair, eyes wide as the Pitbull charged her. Karen didn't flinch. She leaned on the hood of her Lexus like she was watching. "Show. He's just playing," she said, sipping her iced coffee. I wasn't even out of my truck yet. I dropped the groceries and ran. "Lily!" I yelled. The dog was already too close. Lily's arms curled up tight. Her cerebral palsy made it hard to move fast, and she knew better than to try. But that dog wasn't stopping. I saw his teeth bared, saliva flinging off his jaws. Then, crack. I tackled him midair, took the bite on my forearm and rolled. Karen screamed like she was the victim. "You hurt my dog. That's assault. I'm calling HOA and animal control." I stood, holding my bleeding arm. Lily was crying now, shaking. My blood was dripping on the grass. "He was going for my daughter," I said, breathing hard. Karen took a photo of me on her phone. "You're done here. This neighborhood has rules. No violence, no outside pets, no trashy veterans dragging their problems onto nice streets." She said veterans like it was a curse word. I didn't say anything back, not yet. I just picked Lily up, held her close, and walked into our house. But I'd seen what was in Karen's hand. That wasn't just a phone. It had a badge sticker on the case. A fake sheriff's badge. This wasn't her first time pretending to be someone she wasn't. She thought I was just another guy trying to blend into a quiet life. She didn't know. I was a Navy SEAL, and she just declared war on the wrong man. The next morning, there was a bright orange notice taped to my front door. HOA violation. Unauthorized aggression. Mandatory eviction in 7 days. No signature, no official seal, just a printed paper with her perfume all over it. I laughed once, dry and low. Lily was inside watching cartoons, safe now. My arm was stitched up, but sore. I hadn't slept. I'd spent the night checking my old files, videos, documents, contacts. Just in case. Karen was standing across the street, arms folded, phone in hand like she was daring me to rip the paper down. So I did, tore it clean off and walked right over to her, slow and calm. "You printed this yourself." She didn't blink. "I am the acting HOA chair." I pointed at the bottom of the notice. "You misspelled eviction." That threw her for a second, but she recovered fast. "Doesn't matter. You violated the community pet policy, and there's a history. Aggression in your household. I've spoken to others." "Others? Who?" I looked around. No one else was watching, no neighbors standing up, no cameras out, just blinds shifting quietly behind windows. I nodded slowly. "Okay," I said. "We'll see what animal control says about your Pitbull off-leash." Her lips twitched. "He's emotional support and you have no proof." That's when I smiled. "Funny thing," I said. "I installed a new security system last week. Ultra-wide angle, picks up sound too." Her face dropped. She didn't expect that. "You're lying." I pulled out my phone and showed her a still. Her leaning on her car, iced coffee in hand. Pitbull in mid-run toward Lily. She stepped back. "Delete that. It's illegal to film me. You were on my property and threatening my child." She opened her mouth again, probably to start fake crying or claim harassment. But then something unexpected happened. A black SUV rolled up. Not HOA, not animal control. 2 men stepped out in casual suits, sunglasses, neutral expressions. Karen's entire posture changed. "Who are they?" she snapped, whispering like I hadn't heard her. I shrugged. "You said you spoke to people. So, did I?" She didn't know those men were from NCIS. She also didn't know I never really retired. Karen backed away, her eyes jumping from the men to me and then back again. "You're making a scene," she hissed, trying to sound in control. But her voice cracked just a little. "This is harassment. I know my rights." One of the agents held up a small badge. "Ma'am, we just have a few questions about the incident yesterday, and a report filed against you for impersonating an officer." Karen turned pale. "What? That's ridiculous. I never—" "That badge is decorative," I spoke before they could. "You waved it at my daughter's nurse last week. Told her you were with neighborhood enforcement and needed access to check home safety. She filed a statement. Karen's mouth opened, then closed. She glanced at the neighbors' houses, still quiet, blinds still twitching, but no one coming out to defend her. Not anymore. The taller agent stepped forward. We've reviewed footage. There's also concern over your dog's registration status and your role within the HOA. We'll need you to come with us, Karen snapped. This is a setup. He's lying. He's dangerous. He's military. The agent raised an eyebrow. Yes, ma'am, we're aware. He also has full property rights here and a spotless record. She lunged toward me, finger shaking. You think you're better than everyone. You walk around like you own the place. I didn't answer. I just kept my hands at my sides. The second agent gently moved between us. Let's keep things calm. Karen looked like she wanted to scream. Instead, she turned to the crowd forming. Now because of course now the neighbors showed up, cameras out, phones in hand, and one of them, an older woman I'd helped shovel snow for last winter, said loud enough for everyone to hear. We told her to stop messing with him. She wouldn't. Listen. Karen froze. The agents took her by the arms, not cuffed, not yet, but firm enough. And just as they started leading her away, she spun back toward me, her voice twisted and shaking. You think this is over? You don't even know what's coming. I looked down at the phone still in my hand. There was something Karen didn't know. She wasn't the only one who'd been faking something. She thought I was just another vet trying to live quiet. She didn't know I was still active. And she definitely didn't know the house she tried to evict me from was government property. By sunset, Karen was gone. The SUV had taken her down. The road, past the neighborhood gates she thought she controlled. But that didn't mean it was over. When I came out to check the mailbox, 3 envelopes had been stuffed inside. No stamps, no return address. Just bold handwriting on the front. Not welcome here. Inside one of them was a printed picture of Lily from yesterday, taken from across the street. That stopped everything. I stood there, frozen, holding that photo. I scanned every house on the block. No movement. Just shadows behind curtains. Someone else was involved. Karen might have been the face of the problem, but she wasn't working alone. I stepped back inside, locked the door, and pulled Lily's wheelchair closer to me. She was busy coloring, humming. Little, completely unaware of the photo. Good. My phone buzzed. A text from one of the NCIS agents. She's not talking, but she slipped one name, Donovan. Ring any bells? Yeah, it did. Donovan was the so-called vice president of, our HOA quiet guy. Never spoke at meetings, but he was always watching, always CC'd on emails. He owned 3 houses on the street under different LLCs, and he was the one who introduced Karen at the first meeting I attended. I pulled up an old email. There it was. Donovan Management LLC, with an address. Not far. I called my brother. I need you to watch Lily tonight. You all right? He asked. Not yet, I said. 2 hours later, I was parked outside Donovan's gated property. No cameras, no lights, like he didn't want to be found. But I wasn't there to knock. Pulled out my tablet, accessed a private network, one only a few SEALs and ops guys still had access to. Within seconds, I had everything. Donovan had 4 shell companies, all tied to one HOA enforcement group that wasn't even legally registered. Fines they collected didn't go to neighborhood improvements. They were laundered, and Karen, she was on their payroll, listed as a compliance enforcer. That fake badge wasn't just a prop. It was part of a larger scam. They were targeting veterans, immigrants, older residents, people less likely to push back, forcing them out, taking over their homes. And I just found their blueprint. They messed with the wrong guy, and they threatened the wrong little girl. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my garage with the door halfway down, laptop open, documents spread out across the workbench like a battlefield. Every file, every photo, every voice memo I had ever kept that didn't seem important. Suddenly, it all fit together. Karen wasn't the root. She was the bait. Donovan ran the operation, but he wasn't alone. There were names, 4 others, each connected to different HOA boards across the county. It was organized, deliberate, and filthy, and they'd all underestimated the quiet guy on the corner with a disabled daughter and a fading American flag on his porch. At 6:13 a.m., I sent the packet, local news, state officials, FBI fraud division. 1 click, then another copy to the Attorney General's office, and a third to a Navy contact who still owed me a favor. By 8 a.m., a black truck idled outside my driveway, not unmarked this time. It had decals, local county sheriff, real ones, and when I stepped out, coffee in hand, I didn't flinch when the officer approached. "You the one who sent this?" he asked, holding a printed stack of what I'd just burned the night organizing. "Yeah," I said. He looked it over, flipping through the signatures, screenshots, even a wire transfer between Donovan's shell company and Karen's consulting business. "This is heavy stuff," he said. "You sure about going public with it?" "I'm sure about protecting my daughter and my neighborhood." He nodded once. "Then you just became a very loud problem for some very quiet people." By noon, they were kicking in Donovan's front door. News vans rolled up 15 minutes later. Neighbors finally came outside. Really came out. Not behind blinds, not through whispers, but standing, grouped up, watching. Lily sat on my lap on the porch, sipping apple juice through a bendy straw. She giggled when one of the officers walked out with a stack of fake HOA notices under his arm. "Daddy, they look mad," she said, pointing at the people being led to police cars. I smiled, kissed her head. "That's what happens when bullies get caught." She nodded like she understood, but Karen still hadn't resurfaced, and neither had the person who took that photo of Lily. This wasn't done. It felt like I'd cut off the head. But something, my gut told me, this thing had more than one. 3 days passed. No sign of Karen. No statement. No charges filed. At least not publicly. Donovan and 2 others had been booked, then bailed out within hours. Clean suits, fake apologies, lawyers, lined up like bodyguards. But Karen vanished. No one saw her, no car, no online trail. Then came the knock at my door. Not loud, not fast, just deliberate. I opened it slowly, keeping Lily behind me. A woman stood there, mid-40s, blazer. No badge, no ID, but something about her said she didn't need one. "You're Mr. Callan?" she asked. "Depends who's asking." "I work with people who clean up problems like the one you uncovered." I waited. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. "This isn't just local corruption. This HOA scam, it's happening in 6 states. Military towns mostly. Quiet neighborhoods, disabled residents, easy targets. You saying Karen works for someone bigger?" "She was the recruiter," the woman said. "But she didn't vanish." She pulled out a small envelope. Inside was a photo, Karen. In a hotel lobby, black wig, boarding pass in hand. Destination, Mexico City. I looked up. She ran. She was helped. I stared at her, then the envelope. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because people upstairs didn't want this exposed. You forced their hand, now they have to react." She paused. "And because we think you can finish what we started." I laughed once. "I've got a daughter to raise. You have a record of infiltration, intelligence extraction, and target tracking. You're already on their radar, and your daughter's in more danger now than ever." I stepped back. My hand tightened around the doorframe. "Are you threatening my kid?" "No," she said quietly. "I'm offering you a chance to protect her. For good." She handed me a second envelope, sealed. No writing on the outside. "When you're ready to end this for real, open it. Instructions are inside." Then she turned and walked down my driveway like she hadn't just shifted the earth under me. I stood there for a long time, envelope in hand, heartbeat slow but heavy. Lily wheeled over to the door. "Daddy, who was that lady?" I looked at her. At her tiny hands, her crooked smile, her trust in me. And I knew. If Karen thought she could disappear, if the people behind her thought they were untouchable, they had no idea who they'd just challenged. This wasn't about a Pitbull anymore. This wasn't even about an HOA. This was a war. And they just made it personal. I didn't open the envelope that night. I just sat with it on the table untouched, while Lily slept in her room with the white noise machine humming like a soft shield around her. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Around. 17 a.m. the silence broke, not from inside, but outside. A click. Then a slow, dragging scratch against the back door. I moved fast, knife in one hand, pistol in the other. No lights. I checked the camera feed. Black screen. They cut the power. I stayed low, eyes locked on the hallway leading to Lily's room. Another sound, not footsteps, breathing. Then glass shattered, sunroom window, small, back corner of the house. I didn't hesitate. I was at the window in seconds, gun raised, but whoever it was had already slipped in and was moving low. Tactical, not, some junkie, not a burglar. This was trained, and they weren't after the TV. They were here for Lily. I took the shot, one to the leg, a scream, male, sharp and angry. He dropped hard, but didn't pass out. Rolled, reached for something. I kicked the weapon away and pinned him, gun to his head. "Who sent you?" I growled. He spat blood, coughed, but smiled. "She said you'd come looking." "Karen? No," he wheezed. "The one above her." That's when I saw the tattoo on his neck. Not gang, not military, private security, black market. They weren't just running HOA scams anymore. They were using fake HOAs to plant assets, manipulate property lines, and push out families. To build something hidden, something planned. I zip-tied the guy and locked him in the storm shelter. Then I opened the envelope. Inside was a USB, a burner phone, and one sentence written on a note card. "You're not just up against fraud. You're standing on top of it." There were coordinates on the phone, a development site just outside town. According to the documents on the USB, it was zoned as a public park, but had never been opened. No photos, no access, and the land owned by the same shell company that funded Karen's fake HOA. It wasn't a park, it was a base, hidden in plain sight, and if I didn't move fast, they'd come again. And next time, they wouldn't miss. By sunrise, I had everything I needed in the back of my truck. Maps, the USB contents burned to 3 drives, gear from the locked trunk I hadn't opened in 5 years. The kind of gear you only bring when you're going somewhere you might not walk out of. Lily was still asleep when my brother arrived. He looked at the boarded-up sunroom window, the bruises on my arms, and the silent alarm pad blinking red. "You, sure you don't want backup?" he asked. I handed him a burner phone. "If I'm not back by midnight, you call the number saved under gray flag. You'll know what to say." He didn't ask questions. He'd been there with me before, in darker places, in deeper holes. He just nodded and took Lily's chair into the living room. I drove out past the edge of town, past farmland, past a fake construction sign that said, "Park expansion coming soon." But behind the overgrown trees and rusted fence, there was no park. There was a compound. From the air it looked like storage units. From the ground it looked abandoned. But the digital log on the USB said different. Daily traffic, late-night shipments, encrypted Wi-Fi bouncing off 4 routers. I circled the place twice, watching. No guards outside, no dogs. Too quiet again. Found a blind spot behind an old generator shed, slipped through the back and dropped into a crawl space that wasn't on any blueprint. Once inside, the air shifted. Cold, processed. I moved down the tunnel, one hand on my weapon, the other brushing, against walls lined with steel. Then I heard voices, low, clipped, speaking in acronyms and codes. One word repeated over and over, "Clear wave." I followed them, and what I saw next stopped me cold. Rows of servers, maps of housing zones across 5 states, red dots marked acquisition, targets, names, families, military status, children. They weren't just scamming neighborhoods. They were building something, an entire network of fake HOAs to control who lived where, who stayed, who left. and who disappeared. And in the corner, near a glowing screen, stood Karen. No wig, no fear, just cold eyes and a lanyard that read, Clearwave Regional Ops, Tier 3. She looked right at me. "Took you long enough," she said. "No panic. No backup. Just her," I aimed. "This is where it ends." She tilted her head. "Is it? Or is this where it really begins?" Then the floor beneath me clicked, and everything went dark. The cold swallowed me whole. I hit the ground hard, the gun skittering away into shadows. Red emergency lights flickered on, casting a hellish glow over the room. Karen's voice echoed through hidden speakers. "Welcome to Clearwave, Mr. Callan. You're exactly where we want you." I rolled to my feet, heart pounding. The servers hummed louder, systems activating. Suddenly a metal grate slammed shut behind me, trapping me inside. No way out, but I wasn't alone. From the shadows stepped a figure I hadn't expected. A man, in a dark suit, face half hidden by the dim light. "Nice to finally meet you," he said, voice calm but cold. "Donovan." Karen smiled beside him, smug and untouchable. "We've been watching you for a long time." I narrowed my eyes. "Watching? Or waiting?" He laughed softly. "Both. You see, this isn't just about property or petty HOA scams. This is control, economic, social, political. And you, with your military background and stubborn daughter, threatened everything." Karen crossed her arms. "We gave you chances. You ignored the warnings." I glanced at the doors, locked tight. But there was one thing they hadn't counted. I pulled the small device from my pocket, the one my contact gave me weeks ago. A compact jammer with a GPS tracker. I pressed the button. The entire compound's communications died. No alarms. No comms. Just static. Donovan's eyes widened. Karen cursed. I charged forward, fists ready. The fight was brutal. Cold steel, sweat, and raw anger. Every punch I threw was for Lily. Every block was for our home. When Donovan went down, Karen tried to run, but I grabbed her by the wrist. "This ends now." Her face twisted in disbelief. The compound's doors suddenly blasted open. The sheriff's deputies I called earlier stormed in, guns drawn. Donovan, Karen, and their crew were cuffed on the spot. I stood there, breath heavy, watching them taken away. Lily's photo was still tucked in my pocket. I whispered, "You're safe now, kid." The war for our neighborhood was over, but the message was clear. You don't mess with family. Not in my town. Weeks later, the neighborhood was changing, but this time for the better. HOA meetings were open, honest. The board was filled with real residents, not puppets. Karen's name was scrubbed from every list. Donovan's companies were being investigated nationwide. And me? I kept the porch light on for Lily every night, watching neighbors wave, kids playing in the yards, laughter spilling into the streets. One evening, as the sun dipped low, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "You did good. But remember, there are always others watching." I smiled, locking the screen. Lily hopped into her wheelchair, beaming. "Daddy, can we plant flowers by the fence?" "Yeah, kid. We can plant whatever we want, because here on this land we were finally free. And nothing could take that away."